I'm Anatole, and this is my review of Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It scored 9.1 on IMDb. And the first thing I want to talk about in this episode, well, the principal thing I want to talk about is Jaime and Brienne, because through those two characters I can hit the points that I think are the most important for this episode. So the first thing I want to talk about is the evolution of Jaime's character, because the Game of Thrones has tried to present more than just a two-dimensional portrait of morality in the show. And most fantasy, most works of fantasy or genre, most mainstream fiction for that matter, tend to present things as either good or bad. And something that George R.R. Martin has tried to present is that human beings are more complex than that, so that you can have good intentioned people doing bad actions and bad intentioned people doing good actions, and confused people doing confused actions. And with Jaime, he showed someone who acted selfishly find a way where he became selfless, because there were parts of him that were selfless but just misguided by the family that he was born to. And so someone who was very unsympathetic in season 1, within this the most important scene of season 3 for his character in Brienne, the one where they're in the sauna after he's already lost his hand, and he talks about killing the Mad King Targaryen, that was the beginning of Jaime becoming more of a sympathetic character. And we see that in other instances in the show. Another one is Theon Greyjoy, someone who started good, became bad, and then ended quote-unquote good, because George R.R. Martin is trying to present a world that is more realistic than we're used to in genre fiction. And so we see that in that relationship between Jaime and Brienne, the way that she can in the end accept him and even love him, because there's enough of a character there for her to see past what we saw in the first season, which was that evil, scheming Lannister. And then the second thing I want to talk about is the way that this whole episode was developed to character development. And in many ways, while there wasn't much development, there was a lot of resolution. You could even say almost fan service, because the first episode of the season was also devoted to character, but that was centered on most of the main characters, and in this one we got to see more of the side characters. And what action show can you think of that would devote a whole episode to just character moments and have no action? Very few. And even for Game of Thrones, it was 8 seasons before we got these 2 character episodes back to back. And even at that, even though these are very well-earned episodes, well-earned moments of character, there are complaints online that nothing has happened these past 2 episodes, because you can see the mainstream audience wants the action. And so that scene where Jaime knights Brienne is the culmination of their relationship, their complex relationship, culmination of the redemption of Jaime's character, much as we see the redemption of Theon in episode 1 and 2 of this season when he rescues his sister, and then he comes and is seemingly ready to sacrifice his life to defend Winterfell. And so we see him and Sansa in the courtyard of Winterfell, where he grew up, sharing a moment now that they can put all those past mistakes that he made behind him. He has achieved that redemption. And that scene where he turns her into a knight, it also, where are we on time? Oh, man, it's so easy to talk about this show. We're over 4 minutes. So the scene where Jaime knights Brienne, it begins with, I can't remember the big guy's name. I can't remember his name. He asks, well, why did you call her a lady, not a sir? Isn't she a knight? And someone says, well, she's not a knight. And he asks, well, why not? And they say, well, it's tradition. There are no laws against it, but it's just never been done. And so the big dude's name response, the Wilding's response is, well, F tradition. And that harkens back in a way to the conversation that Daenerys has with Sansa earlier in the episode. And Sansa asks, when you achieve the Iron Throne, just what world is it you hope to enact? And she's unable to answer. And my argument is we see that world the microcosm of that world in that scene. It's the world where the rules that don't make sense are overthrown, and instead, just order is the rule. I should say, no, sorry, justice is the rule, not just law and order, because laws without justice are fascism. And we see that the world where someone can become a knight based on merit, regardless of gender, that's the world that's going to come into action, into being. The world where the women are just as capable as the men of being the leaders, if not more so, become the kings and become the lords of the region. So I think that scene, and is well written and acted as it is, and it's very moving. It also doesn't just contain those elements of craft, it also contains in a short form the summation of what this series will be at the end, or at least the world that the characters that we sympathize with, the world they want to enact in Westeros, one that's based on justice and on order and merit and love too, in the end, in love for the people who accept you as their family and not just the family that you are born to, because that also is a way of following tradition and not following justice. If you follow your family regardless of how crazy and unjust they are, then you are only going to be part of the injustice of the world. And those are my final thoughts on this episode. So I hope you enjoyed it, and you'll join me for the review of episode 3, which I think most people are anticipating, you are probably too, will be the action episode. And I'm excited because when Game of Thrones has their action episode in each season, they're usually as intense and as well produced as any full feature action film. So I'm excited to see it. Okay, I almost felt like it came out in one breath. That's all for now. Take care and be well.